and they happen to have 1.6 million followers. So in the 17 days before I got laid off, I think I sold about $12,000 worth of stuff, which that's like 3 paychecks. And then I sat down and got in front of my boss and got laid off. So the universe or God, whoever she is, or like whatever's making sense of the world, winked at me big time, right? And that was one of several of these amazing, seemingly random moments where the stuff I needed was right there at the right time.
All right. Erika, you ready to go?
Of course. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Erika.
And I'm Sarah. This is the Living Understaffed podcast, the chaos we can't clock out of. I may not be the only person to have ever thought of this, but I did write like a Facebook message the other day that I was like, we're Sarah and Erika. We are the 2 Ps of the Living Understaffed podcast. Do you see what I did there? And I was like,
Yes.
I'm brilliant. But I am too egotistical to Google it to see if anyone else has come up with it.
No, absolutely not. It's none of our business anyway.
Yeah, so I was very proud of that. And then I'm like giggling to myself for like an hour after that. I'm like, this is amazing.
I mean, yes, you should. If somebody else came up with it before you does not mean that you didn't also come up with it. It's like how everything eventually evolves into crabs.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about your week. The government shutdown continues on strong and hard. How are you, Sunshine?
I'm actually doing okay. Like my department where I work is still up and working. Shut up. I know. I'm
Hold-
like
no, fuck off for a second. Are we still recording with Alan tonight? Hey, yes, we are confirmed. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Yes, ma'am, are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. That's literally never come out of your mouth before in my life. And I said, that's it? And she says, I mean, yes and also no. Like, I'm fine, but I'm stressed out and I still have to work and I just feel like I have no time. I don't know why.
I mean, yes.
Okay.
She just kind of called you out there. I mean, I witnessed it. Yeah.
The basis of our podcast is us hurting each other's feelings. Or talking about how our therapist hurt our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's really busy and there's a lot of like unknown things that it's like, oh, you have to do this and you have to figure out how to do it. And also there's no precedent for this thing, but I just need you to make it happen. Also, we are incredibly understaffed, like literally.
Oh, but you still have to come in and work and not get paid. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's super cool and fun. And I also like had a bunch of trips booked and paid for. So I already went on all of them, which like is okay. Like I am lucky in that I already have Navy Federal, so they're like they have assistance programs. So like I'm not like starving and about to get evicted or anything like that. But I'm not it's not like a full paycheck either. So I just like haven't been home and then just like just doing a lot of things. And then I'm at home and then I'm like, well, resting is unproductive. So why would I do that? So I'm going to do so many things, like just fill my weekend with all the things that I didn't get to do because of the trips that I went on. And then I traveled for work. One of my offices is in South Carolina. So I drove to South Carolina because I handle a lot of the administration stuff and like HR, and we got some new people. So I went down there to make sure that they were onboarded and then came back and I was just really tired. And then I finally got my new computer that Sarah very graciously helped me buy, but also bullied me into buying.
100%.
Listen, sweet Bertha May is doing her best.
Also, okay, can we also talk about the fact that your boy toy and I were planning on, like, a Black Friday sales type of thing, but then Amazon Prime did their Prime Days, and we were like, "Maybe it's time." Like, maybe
Yes.
yeah. So, like
Yes. And I have it. I'm looking at it right now. It is in the box in my bedroom because setting it up is a chore, and I'm like, ooh.
but the crazy thing is, as soon as you start opening the packaging, you're gonna be so pumped to set it up. That's
I
the thing.
know.
It's just that it's like when when people don't shower for days because you're just, like, in your head and you're like, "Oh my god, it's gonna take so much effort," and then as soon as you're in the shower, you're like, "Holy shit, I could live here forever." It's
Truly.
the same thing.
And you feel 1,000 times better.
So much.
Yes.
I think, Sarah, I'm hanging out with boring people because most of the people I hang out with, like, they try to grab a shower each day. It's crazy. They're so vanilla.
Oh,
Like,
I
what's
don't
going on?
I really
they
don't
are
know people
obviously
like
mentally well. You're not.
I don't understand it. Like, what's weird because we talk. I mean, Alan, but like we talk about depression on here a lot, and it's like the why is it that a shower is such a physical and mental chore? But then as soon as you get out of the shower, you're like, oh my God, I haven't showered in days. What's wrong with me? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
understand that.
One of those mysteries of the universe is like one of those things is like you build it up in your head. You're like, it's going to be so much work. And then you finish and you're like, yeah, no, that wasn't that much work.
Yeah.
But it's the psychological tricks we play on ourselves, right? It's same with like I do a lot of work with extroverts, introverts, that kind of thing. And like people who have introvert preferences being asked to go hang out with friends. And, they get asked 10 times and they say no 9 of the times and then say yes 1 of the times. And then at the end of that one time, they're like, this was kind of fun. I should do this more. But then they forget the next time they get invited because introvert world kicks back in and they're like, no, it's scary. There's so many things. Who's going to take care of my dog? Then I have to wear adult clothes and all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. It's the inside of
Yeah.
a brain is absolutely fascinating and terrifying.
Yeah.
Ah, I can say
Yeah.
that my last week has been oh my god, I was in Nashville and the program was super stressful and I was like ripping my hair out and like the whole introvert extrovert thing, like I work with people, but I work with a lot of different people all the time. And so it's like you are managing, well, for me anyway, I'm managing emotions of the people around me and everybody is different every single trip. So like what I've been struggling with the most as far as like the understaffed aspect is I for the last 4 years have been going to a job where I've pretty much had the same coworkers and I'm dealing not with the same students, but like the same kind of like personality. And I know the courses that they're taking. So it's like, I know what to expect this week. You're doing project management and then you're doing military decision making process and you're doing like, there's a rotation to a course. And so the expectation in my head now with this job is I've had it for a few years, yes, but now I'm taking it on more like full time. And so now it's like every single place that I travel to is new people, new personalities to navigate. And I only get a few days to really kind of like get in the groove of things. And then the program ends and then I go to the next city. And it's like, I feel what's weird is I feel more alone in this job, even though I'm working with more people. So it's really, it's fucking with my head entirely where I'm like, I have wanted to be a remote entrepreneur employee for the last like 10 years. I've been talking about it forever. And now that I'm doing it, I'm like, this is absolutely wonderful. I know that I'm doing the things that I've been working really hard for. But also, there's a piece of me that is the most lonely I have ever been in my life. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that emotion? What what is that? Because I am an extrovert and I do feed off of other people, but then it's like trying to manage that and like the Nashville program was just really there were personalities that I was dealing with that they were new people and I just don't do well with their particular personality. So there was a lot of like friction. Ah. So then
And I think,
beautifully,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, the thing I think I hear you saying, not that I'm trying to sound like I'm married to a counselor, so sorry for the rephrase there. But the
Oh,
thing I think I hear you saying is that maybe you miss community. because I'm the same way. Like every day, every week, it's a group of people that I will see for this workshop. And maybe it's a series. Maybe I'll see them for 3 or 4 workshops over a couple months, but then I won't anymore. And it's like short-term community. But there used to be people, there's a woman named Amanda Fontenot, and I worked next to her for like 7 years or something like that, like 6 years. Like like, that feeling of sameness and normalness. And there are people that I see every day, and I don't have to like them all, but together they formulate this little magical, mystical thing called community that when you're a solopreneur or whatever,
Yeah.
you get in little pieces, but you don't get it, you know? Yeah.
Yes. So that's been, and then on top of it, last week I also had my first therapy appointment in like 3 years with a real therapist, and I have not been okay ever since. I am
Oh,
not
no.
okay. Like, first of all, therapy is supposed to fucking help. Why do I feel worse? Like, that's not how that happens. And so, one thing I know we wanted to kind of bring it up with you, Alan, but like the community part of it and kind of what you like exactly what you're talking about. You broke away from your job and went into business for yourself.
Yeah.
Before we really get into like questions and whatnot, how have you felt understaffed the last week, the last month? Like, have you experienced that understaffed feeling that we are made of pretty much?
Yeah, yeah, and so just to put it in perspective, 2 weeks ago, or no, last week, Sunday, I went to Tampa, and then from there, I went to Orlando, and then from there, I went back home to Greensboro, then I went to Richmond, Virginia, and then back, and then after all that, which is work and clients, then, I was the band dad for my kids' marching band, and my truck pulls his equipment trailer and when they went to a competition Saturday. And so this was all back to back to back to back. Like literally got back home Thursday at 1, then Friday at 11, hit the road to go to Richmond. Like 6.5 hour round trip for a 90-minute workshop. But the it's money. Yay, money. And it was a good program. And then I get back midnight Friday, and Saturday morning at like 9:30, I gotta be pulling the trailer. So, there's this thing of this week I've been back in the office. And so this week I haven't been on the road. And so there's this like pressure to catch up on everything, right? And so like I've got my virtual assistant, but it's like sometimes I need 3 of her and sometimes I need none of her because there's this seasonality to what's happening. And she's like, "What's the next project? What's the next project?" And I'm like, "I need to get my own shit together to get organized enough to get you the next project to maximize why you're here and why you're awesome. But I have to start it first. And if I don't organize it and then hand it to you, it's not organized and handed to you." And so there's a level of behind the behind, if that makes sense. Like I'm behind.
Mm-hmm.
But then also the flip side of it is I don't have a boss. And so like my boss today after lunch said, "Hey, everybody take a nap." That was just me. So I took a nap, you know, and I've been feeling a little like I've had a little cold the last few days and been recuperating or whatever. And so like everything, like all of my stuff that I have scheduled, if I want to change the schedule, I can do it. I can do it. Like I'm like my virtual assistant is like waiting for some promo material for me that's supposed to be posted like in 5 days. But you know what? I can change it if I if I don't have it ready. I can be like, "Lindsay, we're gonna move it. We're gonna bump it 2 weeks. Is it gonna be the end of the world? So yeah. And then also I have an Etsy shop, which when I'm traveling, no, I have to. The lasers don't operate themselves, and so when I get home, I'm like laser, 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 laser. And so I'm laser etching all the things, and I have assistants for that too. But again, it's depending on their schedule. Can you do Thursday? No, I can't do Thursday this week. And I'm like, well, dang it, I can't do Friday because I'm doing a gig, right? So all the things. I need just a second one of me that just clone because he knows laser world, consulting world. He knows how to update the website. He knows how to do social media. He knows all the little pieces. But also he needs to rest sometimes.
Yeah. I used to be a virtual assistant for a consulting company as well. This was like 10 years ago.
Oh,
But
wow.
one of our freelance instructors, he also did his own consulting and then he also like guest taught for us. And he used to say this all the time, like the best part about being an entrepreneur is that you can work your 60 to 80 hours a week whenever you want to.
Whenever you want to, whenever you want to. And And honestly, I am trying to like the reason I did this whole thing, and I don't know if we're supposed to be talking about this or not, but I used to work in student affairs, which is like the stuff in college that makes colleges and universities tick outside the classrooms. It's the residence halls, it's the fraternity and sorority office, the multicultural office, all those things. And that was like a crazy 60-hour a week crisis management.
Oh,
There
I'm
was a
sure.
duty rotation where, like, when I was a dean, 1 week out of every month, I was on call. So I had to leave my phone on all night in case something bad happened or whatever. And my transition to like the entrepreneurship thing, I've been trying very hard to prioritize like downtime and self-care. Now, once I get there, I'm like nervous and guilty because I'm like, I shouldn't, what, there's stuff I should be doing. And I'm still trying to learn how to just sometimes not be constantly working myself to death. Um, and Erica, I heard you say something about resting isn't productive. One of my dear friends and colleagues, her name's Kelly Dixon. Everybody calls her Dr. K. She just wrote a book with a friend called Strategic Rest. I have not read it yet, but I'm like, you've named something important, which is like, for my brain to work, my body's got to work. For my body to work, I got to rest. And so if I shortchange the rest, I'm not going to be good at doing what I need to do. And so, like, to me, rest can totally be procrastination, but sometimes rest can be productive if I'm doing it intentionally and not just when my body is like, dude, you've been going too much. Yeah.
Yeah, the crash part of it is where I struggle, where like I feel like I'm doing okay and I feel like I'm napping when I need to and I feel like everything's fine. And then when I crash, it's like fuck, like I was resting. I did do those things. I was resting because I couldn't do anything else. And then
Right.
Also, Sarah, how much have you slept in the last week?
Erica, can we also talk about the video that you sent me that said ADHD people don't have a regular sleep system? So how about you eat my ass? Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I don't know if I heard the answer, Sarah. I mean, I like the retort, but I want to put the retort in one column, and in the other column, I still want to hear your answer.
Yeah, like 4 hours in the last 3 days. It's fine.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
I don't sleep. It doesn't
Sleep. You
exist.
should sleep some.
Also, have I eaten today? Also, no.
Yikes.
No, actually, one of my coworkers brought in Halloween candy, so I had 5 fun-sized Snickers.
Mm.
All right. You had a little tiny amount.
And a Red Bull. So
can I just hit y'all with something random? I heard on like NPR or something, they're talking about Halloween candy and the different popularity of different kinds of candy. And candy corn, which is controversial. Yeah. But yet it was like Missouri and Nevada or something. I think it was Missouri and Nevada. They were like, Nebraska and Missouri. I don't know. Anyway, there were these 2 states that like, we're all in on the candy corn. I was like, that is fascinating that there are 2
have you ever
states.
been to Missouri?
Yeah, St. Louis once.
That
Yeah.
doesn't count. That's
surprised me that
that's
they
the
love
part that
candy.
people like.
Okay,
No,
then
the rest of it is just hill people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get it. So, and I like candy corn. I guess I'm a weirdo. Like, to me, I don't, like, seek it out, but if it's there, I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll get some candy corn."
I
You
will
know?
eat candy corn if it's like the caramel ones. But candy corn? No.
Yeah.
Although I really can't talk too much shit because I love black licorice and I know
Just disgusting.
That you are definitely the rare one. Like, I don't you must be keeping the whole industry up because I don't know how they make it. Yeah.
Truly, it's one of my favorite things. I love black licorice.
Oh my gosh.
Well, this is a good stopping point because who likes black licorice? Alan, first of all, tell us about Adaptive Challenge Consulting first. Actually, rewind. The most important question I have is marching band. What instrument does your kid play?
My kid plays trumpet. I was a trombone player. Did you play an instrument?
I did. I did marching band for flute and tuba. It was amazing.
Excellent combination.
Wow, but tuba I did for a semester because we were a really small school and our tuba guy left. And so they were asking for volunteers and I was asked, yeah, I'll totally do it. It's so hard. It is so hard. I did it for 1 semester and I was like, never again. No.
I cannot explain to my wife what okay, sorry, Erica, we're gonna talk brass nerdiness for band nerd for just a second. But so my wife played bassoon, and then she also played percussion on the drum line of the marching band, and she was also in a steel drum band. And so, but brass players, so Sarah, you know that for tuba, with the valves open, you can get 3 different notes by changing the tension of your lips, or even 5 different notes or whatever. To my wife, that is like the most mysterious thing ever. The lip partials, right? And so like it is like because woodwind players, they're like, no, yeah, you just blow over the thing on the flute or the mouthpiece on the clarinet, press the right combination, and you get a note.
Yep.
Not press the right combination and tighten or loosen your mouth
Yeah.
to make it higher or lower. And so my wife just thinks and so both of my sons played trumpet. My younger son has stuck with it and is doing marching band. I did trombone. And to my wife, sometimes I'll get my trombone up and I'll just I'll like play like reveille without moving my slide. And she's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, it's the lip thing. And then I talk about how brass players learn how to double tongue. And then all of a sudden we're in innuendo world. And so then we quickly check if the kids are around. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
As soon as because I have a bunch of friends that are they're previous band nerds or they like have no idea how it works. And so when all of us are kind of like in a room together, it's like sort of a 50-50 split.
yeah.
As soon as it gets brought up that I play tuba, they're like, "Oh, this girl got her breath work." Okay. Right. I need you to
Yeah.
calm down. Yeah, but
Yeah.
then I played saxophone. I went from flute to saxophone because it's a pretty easy transition. But then
Right.
I started playing jazz band and I got into soprano sax. So like that I love for a long time. And then I worked special needs for a while and I ended up giving my flute to the first special needs girl that I worked with and she still plays. That was like
Oh.
7 years ago. It was adorable.
So I'm going to tell you, Sarah and Erica, I'm probably one of the nerdiest band nerds you'll ever meet. I don't know if you can see here. I have these 2 little fraternity paddles here, and they're not fraternities like you think of. KK Psi is a co-ed band nerd fraternity. So like my wife is in it, and so my wife is my brother in KK Psi, the band nerd fraternity. Like that's the level of band nerd where it's like my college marching band's like, gotta be on the field at 7 a.m. Saturday. And then KK Psi is like, want to be on the field at 6 a.m. and help set up? You can join KK Psi. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Band, deep band nerd here. Yep.
Love that.
When we were talking about black licorice, you reminded me that I bought these.
What is it? A pedophore? What is that?
No. It's like those extra old people candies that are like licorice flavored, but they're like licorice and fondant.
Yes.
They are my favorite.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
I
gosh.
have to look for them. They only sell them at one store in Fayetteville, and I
For
don't go there very often.
Oh,
Old people candy. You named it. Old people candy.
I was gonna say, so we connected on a podcast group on Facebook about like finding a guest or wanting to guest on things. And
Yeah.
I was trying to remember like the little poster thing that you use because I put together for a couple of my VA clients. I did that after you and I had started talking.
Uh-huh.
Oh God, there were some funny things on your call sheet.
There are a few funny things. So one of them is I was an improv comedian for almost 10 years. And apparently, and this is one of the things that has changed my business in ways I never could have imagined. The crowd, the interlocking circles of people who like have a doctorate in leadership and also have done improv comedy. There's like, if you want to know where the overlap is, it's right here. You've got the whole overlap right here on your podcast. And so like, and I had this like international leadership organization approach me, which I was like nervous and like their company. I always joke with people, if their company is Dr. Pepper, my company is Dr. Thunder, because sometimes you're in the grocery store and you need to save those $3 on a 12-pack, right? But if you close your eyes and if you're not, that what's in it is shockingly similar. But anyway, but this giant company who their number one client is like the US Pentagon, right? But they're in Dubai and Brussels and Colorado Springs and Thailand, and they're just all over the world. They invited me in to do a workshop for their faculty. And I got a call a few weeks later from a different division, from their international division, they said, hey, we want you to come work with the international stuff. They like, but we need 8 people like you. So you plus 7 more. So go find us 7 more people with leadership credentials and a doctorate that also have done improv comedy.
Nope.
I can't find anybody. Nope. So that actually made me go, hey, Alan, you're not very smart. Why haven't you written a book about this yet? So legit, I have a book coming out. The final edit was finished today. And the book is called Improv Comedy and the Art of Leadership, where we look at improv comedy when it works, when it doesn't, when it goes off the rails, but then we fix it. But all the little things you got to learn to be an improv comedian are shockingly similar to the things you got to learn to be a good leader, right? It's like, are you listening effectively? Are you building people up? Are you going for all the glory yourself, or are you trying to get the team to move forward? Like all those kinds of aspects are show up in improv and show up in leadership too. And so, um, but yeah, so I started the company 11 years ago, but for the first like 6 years, it was just me. Adaptive Challenge Consulting was Alan, and Alan was Adaptive Challenge Consulting. It was just the Alan show. And then when I got serious enough to leave my career, I was like, I need to bring in talented folks to be affiliates. So they do contract work. And so now I have 6. I just added my 6th. And these people are amazing because they all, except one of them, all of them bring identities I don't have, right? So there's one other white dude and no one else is white.
I
And
noticed that.
and only one other person's a guy, right? Because they have all of these rich experiences about leadership development, but they also have lived life with all of their identities, right? And so whenever a client needs a certain thing, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to bring in Dr. K for this or Tai Shay for this. And then sometimes it's just maybe they don't need it. Maybe what they need I can do, but it's a 2-day workshop. And I'm a pretty good facilitator, but 2 days of 2 days of anybody gets boring, right? So I'll bring in my affiliates sometimes because of their knowledge or their perspective, but sometimes just because 2 days is a lot of professional development. And I just want to shake it up, get a different face in front of people, that kind of thing. And so so now I have these amazing affiliates, and my newest one just joined, and she bravely drove up from Charlotte to Greensboro for 4 Monday nights in a row to take an improv comedy class because so many of my clients are curious about this improv thing, but none of my affiliates have done improv. So like I'm the only improv guy, but this woman who I admired tremendously, her name's this is the best name ever. Her name's Dr. Dre Deming, but she says only her friends can call her Dr. Dre. Yeah. So she's Dr. Deming. I think maybe I'm her friend enough that maybe I can call her Dr. Dre. But she, she drove up 4 nights over this month to learn some improv basics because she does consulting, she does keynote speeches, she does those things. But y'all, public presenting is terrifying. People are scared of public speaking. It's terrifying for a lot of people. And so improv, really kind of unlocks things a little bit. The funny thing too is the club where I did improv, it's called the Idiot Box, which is hilarious because when I joined the troupe, half the troupe had PhDs. Like there's a dude who was like a British literature guy. And he did Drunk Shakespeare this one time, which was hilarious. Oh yeah. Then there's a geology guy from Iowa, and he's about as Iowa as you can imagine. If you lived in Missouri, you know what I'm talking about.
From Iowa.
We're from Iowa. Oh my gosh, this guy. I mean, like, if I asked ChatGPT or asked like to create an AI Iowan, it would create this dude. Like he's like blonde and 6'4", and yeah, and and then the guy who owns the club has a PhD in neurobiology from this little up and coming place called Duke University. I know, right? Up and coming. But anyway, so it's funny that it's like all these brilliant people who are brilliant in their own nerdy ways get together and do improv. And improv, I did it for 8 years and taught a class about it. I don't know how much more talking I'm supposed to do if I'm supposed to wait for questions, but I used to work at the only Quaker college in the South. It's called Guilford. And I mean, it was like the hippiest, coolest college ever. And I ran the career center. And when you run a career center at a college full of hippies, there's some challenges like, hey, we're doing a Dress for Success workshop. Phase 1, dear hippies, please put on some shoes. And like, you're the man, fuck the man, you're the man. I'm like, yes. I want to help you fight the man. I'm with you. And if you wear shoes, that will help you get a job. If you get a job, you can pay rent. And once you pay rent, you're going to be fighting the man so much better. And so, like, I'm like, I'm with you, and you're still going to pay. Right. And so, career centers generally, they're not glamorous, they're not sexy. There's nothing terribly exciting. It's resumes and graduate school
Mhm.
preparation and whatever. So I taught a class called Improv Comedy and the Art of the Job Interview, where I taught people to use improv comedy techniques to get better job interviews. Because after you've done your 50th scene about Bernie Sanders and Elton John arguing about who gets the last sandwich while they're at a party hosted in Costa Rica, sponsored by Beyonce, whatever we've come up with, tell me about yourself seems so easy. You're like, I just did Nicki Minaj in a canoe in Japan. I got this, right? It was a really, really cool class to teach and made me a better. I was never the best improviser. Like I was out of the, I don't know, 15 people in our troupe, I'm probably like number 12 in terms of good improvisers. But when I
Mhm.
taught it, it helped me get better. So yeah.
So explain to me how you are bringing improv into a leadership workshop.
Oh my gosh. So there's a few different things. There's sort of how I use it so that I'm just not boring. Because I don't know if y'all have been to keynote speeches at conferences, but they're kind of boring, right?
Mhm.
And what if you could
Entirely.
was that?
I said it depends on the speaker entirely and what they do.
Depends
They use their space.
it depends on the speaker. It totally depends on the speaker. And so I've seen good keynote speakers, but out of every 10 keynote speeches I've seen, maybe I leave thinking like 2 of them are really good, right? I think the best ones have a game plan, but are not afraid to meet the audience and deviate from the game plan, right? So there's a couple things. Number one is when I do keynotes, when I do workshops, when you've done improv, it helps you adapt. It helps you go with things, right? And improv also, my student affairs brain is with me too. And in student affairs, you drilled into you is, hey, the experience of every person in your audience is different because they could be a black person, they could be a Latina person, they could be a white person, they could be a woman, they could be a man, they could be trans, they could be cisgender, they can be disabled, they can be lots of combinations of these things. And if you're going to really meet an audience where they are, you got to kind of juggle all those things. So I'm juggling all those things, and then the improv brain can kick in to like help me with that, right? So
Yeah.
part of it is I use it as a technique so that when things don't quite go according to plan in a workshop, I'm not thrown. I just roll with it, right? Because in improv, you learn that a lot of times you're starting an improv scene and you have an idea and your scene partner has an idea. And if your scene partner speaks first, you have to be really willing to quickly forget your idea and get on board with their idea. That's hard. That's hard because you think your idea is good, you think your idea is creative, and you have to be willing to learn to let it go and to get your brain to where they are quickly. And when you're doing workshops and keynotes, that is like a superpower. It's like a magic. It's magic. So that's one way I use it. The other way is I use it to teach people some of the the techniques. So for example, I'm working with faculty at a community college in over in the mountains, actually, Erica. There's a community college, and they're trying to teach their students how to be better presenters in the classroom, right? So they're trying to teach their students. They have like a 5-year plan to make their students better classroom presenters. So I've been working with these faculty for like 3 months and I'm teaching them improv games, not so that they can go do improv in their classroom, but so that they can see how the techniques can help them reshape what they're doing in the classroom. Does that make sense? So I use improv when I'm sort of on a stage, but when I'm in a workshop, I use it and sometimes I also teach it, if that makes sense. And the last thing I'll say is this big international group, the Dr. Pepper of leadership groups that invited me in, they are all into this executive presence or leadership presence thing where they have vice presidents and CEOs who want to be able to stand up and command a room. And if you don't have that naturally, right? Or if you have anxiety, or even if you don't have anxiety, but you're just occasionally anxious, like any regular human, right? And I'm not saying people with anxiety aren't regular, but just all the humans, that then, you know, practicing how to be more have embodied presence, to not talk too fast, to not say every other word, to own your body, be present. Improv comedy can help with that. right? Because you sort of have to get in touch with everything in your body, and you have to be able to do the unnatural thing, which is when your body's like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. Your brain can be like, but we're going to find out what to do. Just roll with it for a minute, and we're going to find out what to do, and it's going to be okay. And that little dialogue thing, the more you practice that, the more executive presence or leadership presence or embodied leadership presence you have, right? So yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can use it to teach teachers, to just use it as a skill to not be a boring keynote speaker, and also to like, I don't know if y'all are into like mystical, esoteric stuff, but like sometimes I'm in a room and there's a certain energy, and I wish I was smarter about this and knew how to talk about this better. But sometimes there's a certain vibe or a certain energy, and I think I'm going into one room, and I get in the room, and it's the energy, and it's a different room, and I'm like, oh, a little antenna's like, oh, I need to, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, um, and I don't know if I'm talking too much, but there's one instance that I remember vividly. I was doing this 4-hour facilitation in freaking New Hampshire, Southern New Hampshire, which, New Hampshire's so small, like, why do they even call it Southern, right? But, like, in New Hampshire, and this was all about, like, racial justice stuff, and I asked them, I'm like, "Well, who's gonna be there? Who's gonna be in attendance?" And, like, they're like, "Oh, it's professionals." I'm like, yeah, but if we're talking about racial justice, can you tell me demographically who's gonna be in the room? Because 'cause I'm Whitey McWhite dude here, and I'm gonna show up and talk about racism, and can I do that with any kind of authenticity? And they said, "We didn't ask. We didn't ask on the registration form people's race." And I'm like, "Okay, no worries, no worries." So, New Hampshire, I don't know about y'all. Yeah, I assume it was gonna be a room full of white people. I was wrong because apparently Boston and New York City are not far from New Hampshire, right? Like, I forget how small that whole place is. I walk into the space, it's 200 people, maybe 20 of them are white people, right? And so I had to like rework my entire 4-hour thing in 30 minutes. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cut this, I'm gonna cut this, I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add this. Like every improv bone in my body woke up. And anyway, that was literally right before the pandemic, and that was one of those moments where I realized, "Hey, maybe I can do this for a living," you know? Yeah.
Mhm. That's very cool. So how was the like the anxiety and the stress of like deciding I'm gonna do this for a living. Hey, here's my 2 weeks notice. Like,
Yeah. So, it's interesting because, um, probably so in, like, 2016, 2017, I got laid off, and, I was at the top of my game and credentials and blah, blah, blah. I was an assistant dean, blah, 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 blah. My team was meeting all of our numbers, but sometimes you're just on the wrong side of the politics. There's a new president or whatever, Um, and so when I got laid off, I put more energy into my consulting company, but that was out of fear. That was just straight up fear. It was, "Oh my gosh, I got 2 kids, I got a mortgage, I got" fear, right? And then I got another job pretty quickly at the oldest women's college in the country, which was freaking amazing, founded in 1772, right? So, like, when the USA, it's like, "It's our 250th birthday," or whatever. This little college is like, "Whatever, dude, hold our beer. We've been educating women since before the US was even a thing," right? So I got that job there, and that's when I realized that that if I wanted to do the consulting thing full time, I shouldn't do it out of fear because someone else laid me off. I should do it on my terms. I should make a strategy and figure it out. I was part of this really, really cool Facebook group called Higher Ed Entrepreneurs and Side Hustlers, where it was all these people who ran orientation programs at colleges or student activities offices, or all these things that take a lot of event planning, budget management, promotions, social media, take all these skills, and they're doing it for 50 hours a week, and they're making $32,000 from a university, even though they've got graduate, like there was a mismatch. And this Facebook group was like, y'all know if we use those skills for ourselves as entrepreneurs, we could be making money, right? Like there was this whole conversation. And in that group, I found so much inspiration. It was run by a woman named Kaylee Robsham, who is brilliant. She had her own product. You could sign up for her course. It was called SA Pro to CEO, Student Affairs Pro to CEO. I never took the course, but I found so much support in that community. But the anxiety part, Sarah, let me just tell you, I asked the group, I'm like, okay, look, how many of y'all made the leap from regular job to this after what I called robust adult commitments, right? A spouse or a mortgage or some kids or
Yeah.
whatever. Like everybody's got different adult commitments. But how many of y'all have done some pretty big commitments and then made the change? Crickets. Crickets. Nobody. There were a whole bunch of people who in their 20s had shifted, few people in their early 30s who had shifted, but I was probably like 45 at the time, and I didn't hear anybody who like remembers when MTV played music. Like none of my crowd showed up, right, with any answers. So I told my wife, I said, here's the smart thing to do. I need three legs to the stool. And so I'm gonna move over here. I don't know if you can see those three circles right there, three circles.
Okay.
And so the top one up there, that's my consulting company. The next one down is my Etsy shop, and the next one down is I'm a part-time Disney travel agent. Not even making that up. So I do travel agent stuff on the side. But the idea was that if one business didn't work well, maybe the other one would pick up. And spoilers, I don't know if y'all remember, we had a pandemic. Well, if you do travel agent work, you're not booking anybody in a pandemic. Nobody can travel. But my Etsy shop, the thing my Etsy shop started with were these little arrows that pointed to people's happy place. So if your happy place is Cancun or Walt Disney World or Italy or whatever, I calculate the miles and made these little arrows. Well, during the pandemic, that business took off like crazy because it was mementos of our happy place and none of us could travel. And so two of my businesses are sort of inverse to each other when it comes to like the world and the economy and whatever. And then consulting is sort of all over the place because like my education clients are nervous and squirrely now, but my corporate clients are showing up big time, which I love because the corporate people have more money anyway. And so yeah, so the transition, it was if it weren't for my Etsy shop, I couldn't have done it. The Etsy shop was the bridge that got me across. And y'all, and I am I don't know, I'm kind of religious, kind of spiritual. I don't know what makes sense of whoever's running stuff up there, whoever the big consciousness is, whatever that is. They threw me a couple huge lifelines. One of which was when I got laid off from that college, literally 17 days to the day before I got laid off. This Facebook group that was like Disney fans wrote an article about my Etsy shop, and my Etsy shop has some Disney inspired stuff, and they happen to have 1.6 million followers. So in the 17 days before I got laid off, I think I sold about $12,000 worth of stuff, which that's like 3 paychecks. And then I sat down and got in front of my boss and got laid off. So the universe or God, whoever she is, or like whatever's making sense of the world, winked at me big time, right? And that was one of several of these amazing, seemingly random moments where the stuff I needed was right there at the right time, you know? Yeah. But my Etsy shop is literally what allowed me to become a consultant. And my first year or two as a consultant, I wasn't making enough to pay the bills, you know? But the Etsy shop kept me afloat. And now I'm hitting this weird tipping point where the consulting is going like this, and the Etsy shop is starting to trail off just a little bit. But I don't know what the giant divine super cosmic thing is, but I'm ready for it. Whatever the next thing is, I'm gonna trust that it's gonna be cool, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. We've talked about that like with me and my job transition and moving across the country and doing all these things. And then like with the podcast, we are severely understaffed all the time. Like when we get done recording, I'm going to finish editing today's episode that's supposed to be posted. So like, but the cool thing is that with my job now, like there's that transitional piece where I have downtime in between travel times.
Love it.
So in those
Love it.
downtimes, it's like, cool. Now I have to get back into basically being an entrepreneur myself and being like, okay, because I also am a travel agent. So like, here's travel agent stuff, and I'll put a little bit of time into marketing here. And here's time for the podcast and put some marketing in and put some editing time in here. And then, my other like side hustles, my photo business and whatever. So like, I have to get into a routine of managing my time better. So like
Yeah.
as a leader in my own, if this is my office space, like what I would love to do is I'm going to put like a picture on the wall that says employee of the month and it has me. It's me.
Or a mirror. You can just put a mirror, mount a mirror, and just be like, every once in a while, look at it, be like, who's the employee of the month?
It's me.
And while you're checking who the employee of the month is, you can also check if you have spinach in your teeth at the same time.
Correct.
Bonus.
Which, by the way, happens way too often, and no one says anything.
So, but Sarah, I've got some questions for you from when you were talking. Can I ask you questions, or does that break the rules of the podcast?
No, absolutely. There are no rules.
The great thing is it's
other
our
than you need to
podcast,
have good Wi-Fi.
Well, it's also our podcast. So if I don't like your question, I'm just gonna not answer it.
Great. So, Sarah, number one, do you know your Myers-Briggs type? Have you ever taken the Myers-Briggs?
Oh, so this is one of my questions for you because you are a Myers-Briggs authenticity person.
I'm one of those people. Yep. I'm one of those. I'm in the cult. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So I took Myers-Briggs like 12 years ago. Couldn't tell you what my
gotcha.
my results were. Not a clue.
Yeah. Well, if you want, the 90-second digest.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's 4 letters. Everyone knows there's 4 letters. The first is extrovert, introvert. That's where we get our energy, right? Jung and Isabella Briggs-Myers think we break into 2 groups. Extrovert people get their energy from the outside, introverts from the inside. That's the first letter. Second letter is sensing or intuition. And pretty much half of us, when we look at a picture, are looking at the things on the picture. That's sensing. The other half of us are looking at what's happening in the picture. That's intuition, right? So as we go around our world, some people like an outline at work. They're like, hey, boss, give me an outline of what to do on this project. That's sensing. Some people are like, nah, give me the big goal and a few things, but let me do it my own way. That's intuitive. So that's the second letter. Third letter is thinking versus feeling. In the US, there's this interesting gender thing that happens. About 65% of men score thinking, which is funny because in my experience, men don't think much. But it means that when men are making decisions, they lean on logic first. And about 65% of women in the US score feeling, which Isabella Briggs-Myers says, do not mistake this with emotional, because y'all know how that is. Oh, you're being emotional. No, but it's person-centered decisions, right? So thinking and feeling is how we make decisions, not how we absorb the world. That's the second letter. Not where we get our energy. That's the first letter. And then the last letter, J and P, judging and perceiving. Judging are people who, like my wife, have a relationship with their to-do list. I'm a perceiver. I have a to-do list, but I don't have anything close to what I would call a relationship with my to-do list, nor have I ever, Erika, done something that should have been on the list that's not, and then retroactively, after I've done it, go retroactively add it so I can have the joy of marking it off. You ever done that, Erika?
Yes.
What's up?
All the time.
What's up, Jay? Yep. And so that's like the 4 things. And I'm extrovert. I'm ENFP. If you've ever seen Phoebe Buffay on Friends or Joey Tribbiani from Friends, I tell people, imagine Phoebe Buffay with a doctorate and 2 kids.
Wild.
Smelly cat. What?
Probably play that on your trombone too.
I could do it. I could so do it. But my other question, Sarah, and this could be Erika too, since we're talking about being overstaffed, but do either of you do what I call the double dip, which is like, okay, look, I've got this. So I'm going to give you a real quick example. So my best friend in the world, her name's Eileen. She lives in Tampa, St. Pete, Florida. And I have a client in Tampa for leadership. Alan has a client near Tampa. And then Etsy Alan has a client in Orlando. And so like I was talking to my client near Tampa and I'm like, hey, when do you need me next? They sent me a date. So I called my bestie. I'm like, hey, Eileen, can I hang out with you and the hubby and like stay with y'all and whatever for like 2 days? And she's like, yes. Then I call up my Etsy shop retailer guy in Orlando, Bonnie. And I'm like, Bonnie, look, I'm going to be in your area anyway. I'm going to drive down. I will give you these 100 of whatever products you want for your customers, and you'll get free shipping because I'm just going to be driving down there anyway. And then on my trip, I'll book my own hotel and get a commission. So I'm doing the triple dip, right? I'm doing the triple dip where I'm doing one thing, but then maybe I got to wait for the airplane for a long time. But while I'm waiting for the airplane, I'm setting up social media. Or do y'all do the double dip, the triple dip?
Sarah does it more than I do. I think, but I do it in a different way. I'm like, oh, I have free time and I have ADHD, so time isn't actually real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can actually do 17 things and also relax. Like on Sunday, I went to Costco and I went to Trader Joe's and I went to Wegmans and I went to Jerry's Artorama because that's where I get my watercolor supplies. And I went to DSW and I went to Sephora and I was like, I can do that in like 2 hours. No, that's actually never happened a day in my life, but I tell myself I can.
Yeah. Interesting. But Sarah, you do that more? You do the double dip more?
Mm.
Oh,
She'll work on the podcast while like she's in the airport.
Yeah.
yeah, on constant because I have time in the airport. So it's like I'm literally just sitting in the airport. My paperwork is done. Everything is submitted. What else am I going to do but do things that are productive that help me? That's a constant. Like my whole
Yeah.
thought process is, oh, it's a side hustle and I'm going to have multiple streams of income. Let's fucking go.
Yep.
Like, woo.
Love it. And I love that you just used the word side hustle the second time. I had one of the guys I used to improv with who's brilliant. I told him I was doing a panel about side hustles, and he goes, "Side hustles? What a charming and cute way to talk about having to have more than one job to survive this economy." And I was like,
Ah.
right, yes, I feel so seen and or called out. I'm not exactly sure which. Um,
It's such a hurt
yeah,
feeling kind of thing.
yeah.
In my head, I'm like, multiple streams of income. Yes, it is
Oh yeah,
multiple jobs, but it's multiple
it's
streams of income.
it is.
For you, do you do the same thing? Do you well, you just said that you triple dip, but is that like a
I try, and when I had a day job, like one of the jobs, I worked at this university, and it was the only university on the East Coast, and one of I think only 2 in the nation that owned its own nightclub. I'm not even making this up. So, like over the years, we had like John Mayer, Hootie and the Blowfish, Outkast, Coolio, Jimmy Fallon, James Taylor back in the old days. Jimmy Fallon did comedy there. We had like Willie Nelson, Colby Calais, Amber Lit. So my job was I taught students how to work with entertainment agents. And any given week in that club, we'd have like a local rock band, and then 2 nights later, a step show, and then 3 nights after that, a contra dance, which is like square dancing, and then like a week after that, a big name rock person, and then a week after that, a drag show, and then whatever, always constantly new things. But I always, and Sarah, this is sort of like what you were talking about. I would finish the workday around like 5-ish, and then sometimes I'd have to be at the place by like 7. And it's like, okay. And then 2, once I got the thing set up, met that manager, got, the security, whatever. Then there's a concert going on for 3 hours, and I'm pretty much sitting in like the booth, and I'm like, hey. And so like I worked on my dissertation because why not? Because I'm the reason I'm there, I'm not performing on the stage, I'm not running the soundboard, I'm like the advisor of the people doing the stuff. I'm there for like if shit goes wrong, if there's a fire, or if there's a fight, I'm there for that. But when I'm not active, I'm on the clock, but I'm gonna do some of my own professional development. So I think that double dipping, it's just it helps because there's some time that gets wasted. There's time by our employers, sometimes that's wasted time. And if it's wasted time, do something productive and enriching. I think it gets weird if that thing is also like making money. And I've a little of that too, I guess, from time to time, because I guess during the pandemic, when I was an assistant dean of students but working remotely,
Yeah.
like my business day wasn't really my business. There wasn't a business day, right?
Yeah.
In our work, because I'd have a meeting with other deans at 9 a.m. and then a meeting with students at 8 p.m. all on Zoom. And so what is the business day at that point, right? There was there wasn't a real thing. Yeah.
Like Erika working for the government and then I did for a hot minute, like there was always the question of like, if you have outside income, there's
Yeah.
going to be questions like, what is
Yeah.
it? Why? How much? If you got to a certain threshold. So
Yeah.
like I worked with a guy that he had a carpet cleaning business and he had a couple of like staff that they did the majority of the work. He would do some like carpet cleaning on the weekends if he had time, but he was also married and had kids. So but the whole LLC was in his name. And so when I first learned that the government would have like questions for you if you had secondary income is because of that guy. And my boss was like talking about it one day. And I was like, what the hell? Because also at the time I had published a guided journal. So I was like, I'm totally going to make it big on this $12 guided journal. And it's going to be
How's,
amazing.
how's that going?
First of all, I made like $1,200 in 6 years. So like
But that's still $1,200. Like,
it paid
yeah,
the production cost and all of the copies that I ordered early. So I've made my money back. It's fine.
yeah. There you go.
But yeah, so like at the time I was asking all these questions like, okay, so when I become this best-selling author, what does that mean for my government job? Because I really loved my job. And my boss was like, okay, let me give you this example. So she talked about this guy and he had to go to like security and explain to them what his business was, what his role was. He had to make sure that he wasn't doing it on company time. He could be fired, that he couldn't be looking up any of like, production costs on a government computer because they can see that and they can track it and they can do all these things. So that made me super paranoid, like with the book stuff, but it also, even with the podcast stuff, I'm like, nothing is looked at on a government computer. Like, don't you dare. But I always had my personal laptop with me because there are certain websites like Canva that you couldn't use on a government computer. And we used Canva for everything because we did events with the students all the
Yep.
time. So I always had
Yep.
my personal computer anyway. So there was a piece of me
Yeah.
that on like, especially on my lunch break, I'm sitting there doing pod stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've got an hour.
Lunch breaks those belong to us.
Yeah.
They do.
Yep.
They totally do.
Are we both very guilty of never taking a lunch break? Did I ever actually take a lunch break and go eat food and not work on something?
Yeah.
That being said, if you're using improv and you're using like your background and you're using Myers-Briggs and you're doing these things to teach leaders, like when you walk into a workshop, outside of like, yeah, you're going to look at like what the culture of the room is and what the energy is. What's
Sure.
the first thing that you focus on?
I mean, one of the things is that I want to get the learning to be sticky. And what I mean by the learning to be sticky is I cannot tell you a single freaking thing I read in 9th grade English class, but I can quote Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet album from start to finish. And so something about Living on a Prayer, something about that entire album has stuck in my brain, and nothing I read in 9th grade stuck in my brain. And so when I was doing student affairs, we were nerds about how do you get the learning to be sticky? How do you get people you go to a workshop, you go to a thing, and maybe people leave with one little nugget, but I'm like, nah, no, no, no. I think you could learn a few things, right? And so before I even get into the room, I'm asking questions about how the room is set up, who's going to be in the room. Also, not just race and gender stuff, but like, are there blind people? Are there deaf people? Like, I need to have a kind of a picture in my mind of what I'm coming into, because my goal is to make the learning the stickiest possible. And so I go, I I when I teach other people about how to do keynotes and stuff like that, I talk about high, low, fast, and slow. So high and low, your voice, and then fast and slow. Because if I'm a faster talker, which I happen to be, and then if I have one very important point to make,
Hmm.
I will slow down, just like I'm doing right now, right? So like to kind of mix it up to like make sure that you're keeping the attention of the people in the room, right? And so yeah, so I mean when I get in a room, it's reading the energy, but then it's also being real and being vulnerable, right? I mean people respond, there are a few jokes and things that I tell pretty consistently. However, I've gotta be real. I gotta be the whole Alan. I've gotta, and I've gotta talk about my failures. I've gotta talk about my insecurities. I gotta talk about the things that make me me. And it's funny when I introduce myself, I have one slide and I show people this slide. It's got all these fancy accomplishments. And then I say, if this slide is making you think I have my act together, do not be deceived, my friends. I do not have my act together, right? This is, and then I show them my second slide, and my second slide shows them the real story. My first slide shows all my degrees and whatever. My second slide, the very top of the slide, are the numbers 2.16 and the number 7. And I'm like, does anybody want to guess why the number 2.16 is important to me? And people are like, I don't know. And I'm like, it was my GPA when I finished college. So I joke, my friends graduated magna cum laude and summa cum laude. I graduated thank the laude. I can't believe this dude even made it, And then I said, y'all want to guess what 7 is? I'm like, it's the same category. They're like, did it take you 7 years to I'm like, yep. Took me 7 years to finish college. So that finished product that you think you saw on slide 1 was this messy kid who grew up in an abusive household who, like, was smart but not focused, probably has ADD but never got diagnosed, and just figured out how to build my world around it. If y'all could see how many screens and tabs I have open right now, and the fact that I've got 3 different businesses, I have decided that if my attention's gonna wander, I am going to use the heck out of that. Have y'all ever heard of, like, procrastinating? Like, you have this thing that you have to do that you don't wanna do, but then
Mhm.
suddenly you have all this energy to clean?
Mhm.
My gosh, y'all. When I've got some Etsy orders that are piling up and I'm like, I do not want to go clean the laser and then sand the frames and sand suddenly a new program for my consulting company will pop into my brain, or a new way to advertise will pop into my brain, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do right now. But then other times it's like a client's waiting on a proposal and I'm like, I am just not feeling this proposal. But oh my gosh, if I did this, this, and this, I could make this cool new lantern in my Etsy shop with Tinkerbell and sell 100 of them. Like, and so like I use my procrastination as like a lightning rod to take me
Mhm.
Yes,
instead of fighting it. Yeah.
yes.
And so I have, at least with my main 2 businesses, I have this like built-in place to spend my procrastination time productively, if that makes any sense.
Uh-huh.
And my sister's blown away by that. She's like, "I don't know how you do that, but yay for you."
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly like, the
Um,
whole double dipping thing kind of works in that sense for me,
yeah.
where I'm like, "Okay, I really, really, really need to focus on the photo business." I have things that I have an open schedule for the month of December. I need
mhm,
to do X, Y, and Z. Like, I have 4 weeks, and so I'm like, "I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Okay, cool," and I hyper focus on that one thing, all while there's this podcast episode that is not even getting touched. Nope. Nope, not touching it. Erica and I have a really, really good working relationship where it's like,
Mhm.
"This is not working upstairs. Can't do it." I literally can't focus long enough to focus on, and then as soon as I get into the editing, I love it. I'm back in it. I'm in it to win it.
Mhm.
I can do whatever needs to be done. But the flip side of that is as soon as that creative energy is tapped, then I don't stop. Then I don't sleep. Then I don't, and like, not sleeping is a part of my routine. Like, I will
yeah,
do it till I fall over, and then I can't
Mhm.
for the next 2 days because I didn't do anything for 2 days.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like, and
yeah,
I hate that push and pull where I'm like, "Okay, I know that I have ADHD, but, like, I am unmedicated and I am unwell. Like,
yeah,
I do this." So,
yeah.
it's difficult. The struggle is real.
I can't imagine having ADHD and not having some kind of medication or, like, a therapist in my back pocket all the time or something. Like, I don't know, like, whatever however people manage ADHD, I can't imagine. So bless your
I
heart. Bless your heart. And Erica knows what bless your heart means. This is the good one in North Carolina. Yeah.
Yes. Um, I recently got diagnosed with ADHD, and
Uh-huh.
so it's sort of my journey started with like, "Oh, you have anxiety." Just kidding, you have anxiety and depression. Just kidding, you actually have ADHD. So, like, that whole, like, process and, like, going to therapy and stuff and, like, learning, like, tools to deal with it and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember being completely unmedicated, and every single step of that process, I'm like, "Wait a minute. This is how everyone feels? This is how everyone is just wandering around the world?" Because I was completely unmedicated the whole time I was in school, and I
Yeah.
didn't do very well in school for that reason. I just could not focus I just couldn't do it.
Yep.
On top of, again, just being a mentally ill child.
Yeah.
And, like, I distinctly remember so many adults being like, "Why can't you just do this one thing?" And it's like, that well,
Because I can't.
you guys
Literally
have
can't.
all been driving Escalades, and I have had a 30-year-old Honda Civic. So, that's why you can do all of these things and I can't.
Yeah. I don't know what it must be like for people, and I'm very thankful that I don't personally have any diagnosed mental illness or difference. Like, again, I think that if I spoke to a doctor, I think that ADD, not ADHD, but ADD in particular, they might be like, "Yeah, no, you check enough boxes." But, like, like as constantly active and overactive as my brain is, and I'm quote unquote neurotypical or normal, I cannot imagine life with ADHD and or anxiety and or depression. Like I get anxious, but I don't have anxiety. I get sad, but I'm not depressed. And if I think to myself, dang, if those times that I was anxious, if they just never stopped, how would I wake up in the morning and get out of bed? Like, so kudos to y'all. Yay for y'all that
I
you figured
also
something out. Yeah.
This
right.
is why I don't sleep.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
I also feel like ADHD for sure was like ingrained in me. Like that's just something I was born with, nothing I can do about that. The anxiety and depression I think is just from being a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Just living in a misogynistic hellscape of dudes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dude,
And I'm a white woman, which means it's not even that bad for me.
Right. Because if you slice it and dice it, it's like, I'm a woman, but I don't have to deal with the yeah. It's funny with the introvert extrovert thing. One of the things I do is I'll take people and I'll break them into extroverts and introverts, and I'll say, extroverts, look across the room at the introverts, and then I'll say, how many of you know the phrase resting Mitch face with an M? And they're like, what? Like resting Mitch face with an M. They're like, is that a thing? I'm like, no, it's not a thing. But we all know what it rhymes with because why is it that we police introverted women's smiles all the time? Like, in other words, that we need to stop that now. And then I say, I've been alive for 50 years, y'all. 50 freaking years. Y'all want to guess how many strangers have told me I need to smile more? Oh, honey, you need to smile more. None. Never. Ever. And so, Erica, to your point, I say, first of all, if you're an extrovert and you're looking across the room, and if you know you have any colleagues who are introverts who also happen to be women, please, 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 please stop telling them to smile and please, please, please stop saying RBF and whatever, whatever. And then I'm like, PS, some of those women might also be black women. And so in addition to, you know, RBF, they get the bonus pack of stereotypes like, oh, she's got an attitude. I'm like, stop those stereotypes too, my friend. Stop those. Like all women experience the starter pack of the stereotypes, right? Especially introverted women get the starter pack. But then, black and Latino women are like, hey, how's that starter pack going? You want some extra stereotypes to go with it? And so I regularly am kind of in that work trying to challenge folks. Another thing I do is I ask extroverts, I'm like, how many of y'all wear headphones while not listening to anything in the headphones? And they are so confused by that question. And as soon as I turn around and look at the introverts, I see all these hands just going up. And because introverts get it, particularly introverted women get it. And then, but two, I occasionally I say now sometimes extroverted women will have the headphones too if they're at the gym and just want to be left alone, right? So every once in a while, it's not just about extroversion and introversion; it's about the male gaze and misogyny and all the stuff that women are navigating that men just don't think about and that men
Mhm.
constantly make worse, right? So yeah, yeah. And Sarah mentioned my TED talk. My TED talk's kind of related to this a little bit.
I have one final selfish question.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
So we obviously run a podcast. We are understaffed and like have big hopes and dreams. Like big goals for us would be like hitting it, having some kind of like regular show where we record together and, have it actually produced weekly instead of just weekly sometimes. And like
Yeah.
having our social media on point, uh, having commissions coming in and all that happy jazz
Uh
in
huh.
in your world of like leadership building and trying to get people to like do better, what advice would you give to the two of us? And by all means, Erica, this is going to hurt both of our feelings, I'm
Oh,
aware.
I already knew that.
Ah,
I don't know. So one thing is good for y'all for having a podcast because people from time to time have asked me, "Oh, do you have a podcast?" And I'm like, "No, all of the no. Please no. I'm going to give you all the no that I've got that I do not want to do a podcast. Do I have the technical skills? Sure. Do I have the personality skills? Sure. Do I have the social media reach and the email reach? Sure. but do I want to lock myself in to having to come back and do content and do content and do content? So one decision I made, I don't know if this is going to be helpful to you or if this is just going to feel like gloating and y'all are going to secretly like fuck you, Mueller. Like, I don't know where you're going to be on this. One of the things I decided, because I was terrified about being trapped in a commitment and having people expect me to come out with the next one, the next one, the next one. I started these like LinkedIn webinars, and I'll be like, I'm gonna do a 7-week webinar. It's 7 weeks, or maybe I'll do one and it's 5 weeks, or maybe I'll do one and it's 3 weeks, or maybe I'll do one, but it has a beginning and an end, and it still allows me to do the things that people on podcasts do, which is I can have guests in, we can have topics, interview, etc. But I am not doing the Leadership with Alan podcast because that terrifies me. Because if I get 15, 16, 35, 50 episodes in and just hate it, then I'm going to hate it. And I don't want to hate it. And I don't want to do work on things that I don't think where the system I set up is telling me I have to do more
Yeah.
instead of me doing it on my schedule. And so again, I do podcast-ish stuff. I just call them webinars, and I don't lock myself into the grind of weekly or the grind of whatever that, because I know so many people who do podcasts, and I think I don't think I could. I don't want to commit to that much. Yeah. The other thing though is one thing that I ask myself, and this helped me with my Etsy business. And Sarah, if you're a travel agent, one of the things I do is in my Etsy business, sometimes I ask questions of who's not being served and what are interlocking communities. So because I'm a travel agent who owns an Etsy shop, I'm like, what kind of stuff would I want to give my clients? Cool. I'm going to make that for other travel agents. So Sarah, I make these little magnets. It's like a fridge magnet. It has your agency logo. It's got a little silhouette of someone who looks like Mickey, but it's not Mickey because a lot of the people are in the Disney sphere. It says days into your Disney vacation, and the little Mickey silhouette is a chalkboard, and people can do a little countdown, and I'll sell them to travel agents by the dozens and the hundreds, and they're giving them to their clients to put on their fridge to constantly remind them of their thing.
Also, before we get too far, just because like it is late here and before we all get too tired, tell us like the name of your Etsy shop and the name of like everything that you want to plug and all of that stuff so that we have it and talk about like your TED Talk and where we can watch it and all of that stuff.
Sure. My Etsy shop is called Happy Place Signs. And so you can find me Happy Place Signs because everyone's got a happy place. I think technically I changed the names to Happy Place Designs for you, but either one of those works. So Happy Place Signs. My wife also has one. Hers is Twisty Mama's Tie-Dyes, which is awesome. And she is so brilliant and so talented at the tie-dye stuff.
Tell me you live in the Appalachian Mountains without telling me you live.
You are right. My consulting business, adaptivechallengeconsulting.com. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So Adaptive Challenge Consulting, LinkedIn, Alan Mueller on LinkedIn. I'm also on all the regulars, the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok, all the things. But so with my Etsy shop, I'm a lot more Instagram, Facebook, and not LinkedIn at all. And with my consulting, I'm a lot of LinkedIn and then just a little bit of Facebook and Insta and TikTok and stuff. But Adaptive Challenge Consulting, my TEDx talk, which is about, you can find it if you just open up YouTube and type Alan Mueller. I'm one of the first ones that pops up, and it's a TEDx talk. So those are the easy ways to find me. Yeah.
Don't make eye contact.
Truly. Okay, that's it for us, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We love you so much. Don't forget, we are on Discord, and we will have a book for our book club that we will totally read and not forget. And that is in the show notes. Thank you, Sarah. Our sponsors and our affiliates and all of that information along with our socials is in our link tree. Thank you so much. We love you. And without you, we would be potting into the void.
That was pretty good, actually.
I know. It's better than usual.
I love how we will have a book. We do have a book.
Listen.